Melanie and Aniya had been talking about the night and about what's her name. Still, Melanie saying what's her name to Kayda, but by the end of this episode, we all had to put some respect on Kayda's name. Good morning, happy weekend, everybody. Still here to talk about last night's very juicy, dramatic episode of Love Island USA Season 8. Definitely a mess for anyone just checking out this channel. I am watching this season where I'm giving the first 2 weeks where I'm just assessing everyone, not picking favorites. That goes for people and couples. And honestly, I might do this longer because this is a very enjoyable way to watch Love Island. I don't have a horse in the race, and I could just sit here and enjoy the mess, even though I'm tired because I watched this late last night. All right, let's talk about the episode. Let's start with who I thought were the 3 stars of drama this episode. That being Melanie, Bea, and Kayda. We ended off on Melanie's initial meltdown over Sincere the episode before because he had that one chat with Kayda. Sincere was complaining to Sean and Bryce that Melanie said he could explore and he didn't even really explore, and she was still mad. And then that night, she didn't want cuddles from Sincere because he was definitely in the doghouse. Melanie was in total Scorpio stinger revenge mode, as we saw the next morning when she had quite the agenda on her plate, which is kind of to burn things down just to get revenge on Sincere. Meanwhile, though, before that, Bea was talking about how she wished that Kenzie would tell her about the situation with Kenzie and Gabe, and that she was going to pull Gabe for a chat, and how she's feeling about Gabe. This is important to note because Bea had an agenda of her own the next day too, which we're going to get to. But that night she talked to Gabriel, who said that Kenzie was his number 2, but that Bea was his number 1. And we got a confessional from Bea saying that she hopes that he is not lying because he does make her nervous. Meanwhile, Sean has been trying to stay in the game, sneaking kisses to Kenzie. I think that's smart because I think he does need to try and do something. I don't know where any of the men really fall with Kenzie. I believe Gabe when he says that Kenzie is his number 2. I think of all the people in the house, maybe Gabe can just deal with Kenzie's quirks and over-the-top energy and crazy eyes because he's just there to fuck. I don't know if Sean really likes Kenzie or if he's just trying to stay in the game. I really do think it is the latter for sure. Melanie and Aniya had been talking about the night and about what's her name. Still, Melanie saying what's her name to Kayda, but by the end of this episode, we all had to put some respect on Kayda's name. I was being shady in my review for episode 3, calling her Katie at times, but it only took one episode for her to win me over. But anyway, Melanie did tell Aniya that she was going to pull KC, and we did not get enough of Aniya's point of view for this in the edit at all, in my opinion. They have got to include more Casey and Aniya in the edit for the next episode, because it's been 2 episodes where the edit for them is just very obscure, and we're not really getting a point of view from Aniya enough for me. I really do want to know where she stands with Casey, but also for what else is going on in the game. All we got was Casey saying that Aniya is not the jealous type and that they're on the same page, which I do believe both of those things, actually, because what we have gotten from them, Casey seems very much into Aniya. And even though Aniya's body language sometimes makes me think at least, that she is not totally into Casey when it comes to kissing. But maybe people point out Aniya's kissing as not being good, so maybe she also feels some type of way about her own kissing. I don't know if it's just a her thing or if it is just a them thing and the attraction's not there. I don't know, but I would like to see more of an edit to figure that out. Melanie did end up pulling Casey. We got a very choppy edit of Aniya saying that she's irritated and wants Casey to be honest if they're going to be a couple or if he really wants to explore. It was such a choppy edit, though, but it did kind of point out the same thing that was pointed out in episode 3 that I talked about in that review, that Casey is kind of being a hypocrite, saying that people shouldn't just double down on a couple right off the bat. They need to explore. But I don't know if Casey's giving that a real try. So maybe Aniya is just as confused about Casey as I kind of am when it comes to where he is really standing. Because it seems like he's really, really into Aniya. But he's telling other people we can't just put all our eggs in our first basket. So I don't know. But I didn't think Casey and Melanie's talk was good. They talked about kids. Mel wants to have babies, saying she would pop out babies for Casey. Why do the women this season seem obsessed with popping out babies? And like, that's a go-to wooing tactic. I'll have your babies if we're going to be together. Like, is the trad wife content taking over TikTok? Because that's what it seems like with some of the women this year. There's a over talk about having lots of babies and popping out babies for their man. And Casey did not seem into that at all. So I didn't like their conversation, and I didn't think Casey was actually into Melanie. And then the editing did not follow up on Casey nor Aniya and how they really felt about that talking and that pulling of Melanie to Casey. But I've been talking a lot of astrology this season, and so far it's been very accurate on some of the people I've been talking about. So let me do it for Aniya too. She's a Virgo. I think she is always going to try and think logic first over emotions, which is mature. But I'm going to need her to see that Melanie is not her friend. I think Melanie sees Aniya as an easy target because Sincere chose Melanie over Aniya. So she thinks maybe Casey would too. Or she's just doing this to mess with Sincere. But why would you do it with your friend Aniya, who you've been leaning on, crying to? I don't think Melanie is actually Casey's type. I think even more so because she's supposed to be with Sincere. And I think even more so because she's starting to show her crazy. And I don't actually think Casey is down for that. So, yesterday I and others called out Melanie for not understanding the game. Since, you're supposed to explore early, really. If you're going to explore, I think it's best to do it the first 2 weeks. And now people want to say, well, they're defending her because she did explore. So she's exploring now. She actually does get the game, but it was for all of the wrong reasons. Melanie was not exploring in this episode to actually find a connection. She was exploring for revenge on Sincere. She was exploring for ego purposes. She was exploring for control. And that's the biggest gig to me. Melanie was spiraling in episode 3, and in episode 4, she was trying to get back in control. But luckily this season, unlike last season, the women will buck up and call shit out and are not playing that shit this season, which I love to see. And we'll circle back to that shortly. Let's talk about the boss bitch challenge. Aniya went first, decided to kiss Sean. She has alluded to the fact that Sean was her top 2 when she walked in. It was Sincere and Sean, but she hasn't really gone for that. So they had a kiss. And then she chose that Casey would be the person to take credit for the group project. And that was her, I think, taking out maybe some frustration on Casey. With challenges like this, you will see a lot of the people taking their frustrations out on someone that is frustrating them. And I think that's what Aniya did here. The big twist in this challenge was, of course, the new guy, Corbin, being the secret kiss at the end that the guys wouldn't even know about. Love the twist. This challenge in general was just great because it made people explore, it made them be shady towards someone, and then it made them kiss the new guy in a secret. So honestly, definitely a great challenge. And also when everyone twerked in that competition after Aniya, it was embarrassing. I mean, at least Kenzie could do the splits, and she's a dancer and all, and do different things. But anyone else that was twerking after Aniya, let's be for fucking real, it was not good. And especially coming after last season. Anyway, Bea went next. She kissed Sincere. She said that Kenzie was the one not afraid to step on toes to climb to the top once again, being frustrated with someone, she's been frustrated with Kenzie because Kenzie hasn't talked to her about the Gabe situation. Trinity kissed Sean, which I was actually surprised about. I think Sean probably happy about because I think he's into her. But then she said that Bryce is faking it for a promotion. Her own coupling up is faking it for a promotion. And then, of course, Bryce did not take that kindly because he's being called out by his own connection and being slimed. So he wanted to prove himself in their kissing at the end. We had another comment from Kenzie about Bryce's turtle tongue. That is a comment from Kenzie that keeps cracking me up. I don't know why, but at least it's something about Kenzie that I could find endearing. And then at the end, Zach flirted with Bryce, being like, were you thinking about me when you were making out with Trinity? So a side note, Trinity having to kick Zach out of bed, hugging Bryce, and Zach always flirting with Bryce, it's too much. I mean, I didn't take people joking online seriously that Zach and Bryce want a threesome with someone, but maybe that is why both Bryce and Zach don't seem to have a real spark with any of the women, because I find it very odd that Zach is flirting more heavily with Bryce than we've seen him flirt with any of the girls this season. Because I've been calling him a chemistry-less void with the women, and yet Terry is flirting it up with Bryce. He might be on the wrong show. I don't know. Anyway, Kenzie had fun kissing Kayda at the beginning of the challenge. Kenzie was having fun with this challenge, and I appreciate that about her. I feel like maybe I need to give Kenzie a little more room to grow. I mean, I have been harsh on her, but I am doing my whole 2-week trial. She still has time to get back on my good side. And if she can just have fun and not try and make someone out to be the bad guy when they're not, it would be easier for me to do that. So this was good. She ended up kissing Gabe, of course. She said Aniya is the office gossip who knows the tea. That was some weird shade at Aniya that I didn't really understand, because if anyone gets the tea, from what we've seen, it's Trinity. Melanie kissed Casey, being really egotistical about it when she did it too, which is why I keep saying I don't think she's Aniya's friend. Aniya in confessional saying Casey was too chipper to go and make out with Melanie. And then Melanie said that Kayda should be fired for her question. And Kayda immediately returned the cunty energy when Melanie was doing this fake hype up for Kayda to come and get slimed. Loved it. Kayda came up. I was hoping Kayda was going to get her get back at Melanie, and she did. She chose Sincere to kiss, which is what she needed to do. Melanie was pissy when this was happening. She then chose Sincere for saying that Sincere needs a promotion from a couple. So that was more shade at Melanie. In confessional, Kayda said she is a tit-for-tat girl. But I loved this from Kayda. I loved the tit-for-tat because Kayda was the boss bitch at the end of this challenge. And then when they went back and they all gossiped about the secret new guy, Casey was talking about how Kayda definitely asserted dominance over Mel, and she did. And we saw it played out when they came back, because Kayda told Mel that she was just getting a get back, and Melanie definitely cowered to the get back because I think she saw that Kayda doesn't play. You probably shouldn't play with Kayda because she's going to give it right back. And I don't actually think Melanie is about that life. As big and bad as she's trying to act, we saw her cower down here and get out alphaed by Kayda. She used the excuse, Melanie did, that she only dunked Kayda in the slime because everyone else had been. But correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember Trinity getting slimed. Anyway, loved seeing that from Kayda. It definitely made me put some respect on Kayda's name. Plus, Sincere talking about how he loved the kiss with Kayda. I think he is feeling Kayda. I'm not convinced that she's feeling Sincere, though. But I'm having a hard time believing that she's feeling Zach, who has more of a spark with Bryce, and who's having these boring conversations with her about chai tea. So then Bea and Kenzie talk about how Kenzie has not talked to her about the Gabe stuff. And Bea tells Kenzie that she should have the first dibs on the secret new guy. And this was definitely Bea trying to push Kenzie onto the secret new guy and off of her guy, Gabe. So this is why I said earlier, Bea definitely had an agenda of her own in the fight that was to come tonight. And this to me is like Bea showing finesse, because not only is she kind of a playa with the guys and playing the game like the guys usually do, which I appreciate. I like that from Bea. I've been waiting many seasons to see this again, where a girl will play like a guy. But she is also much better socially with agenda manipulation, whereas Melanie is doing everything so out in front that she's starting to look like a major crash out because of her agenda to get revenge and fix her ego and be in control. Then, when the tall, kind of boring new guy came in, Corbin, I think is his name, who talks like Shaq with far less substance, he got to sit down with all of the girls, but then mid-conversation with all of the girls, Melanie pulled him away first. And of course, the girls got upset by this, and of course, Bea made sure to say that it should have been single Kenzie first. Bea said that it was not cool of Melanie and that she would tell Melanie that it's not cool, which I like. Once again, seeing girls actually stand on business this season without needing a stand on business challenge is nice to see. And Trinity pointing out from Melanie here that if Sincere was the one doing this, Melanie would be pissed. So it is hypocritical. That to me, Sincere had one chat with Kayda. Melanie's now spiraling, pulling Casey, wanting the new guy, doing the absolute most with her Scorpio stinger. Sincere's talking about how if Melanie wants to be battle tested, well, he's going to go through the stages of grief with her, I guess. So maybe Sincere will be able to work this out with Melanie, which is what I've been saying from the beginning. These two as a couple could give us television for a lot of this season. If Sincere is stupid enough to try and withstand this with her. But yeah, Melanie and Corbin had their talk. I didn't really think it was that great, but it seemed to go good for Corbin. Corbin seems into her. I called this yesterday when I looked at Corbin's social media, that Melanie would probably be one of his top types, if not Kenzie. Corbin talking about how he had a long relationship before. It lasted a year and a half. Melanie asking how it ended. I was expecting him to say, well, we graduated, because he's only 22. So I thought he was going to say, well, we graduated high school, so we had to go our separate ways. Melanie came back from the chat with Corbin, and Bea did call her out on her shit. Melanie got defensive back. Nobody else really stood up to Melanie except for Bea. Trinity both sides did like a good Libra does. Melanie had to walk away. Then Melanie tried to pull Kayda for a chat, who was like, nah. I think Melanie was wanting the boss bitch as an ally all of a sudden, because I would want Kayda on my side, not against me. But that didn't work for Melanie here. We could kind of see a lot of the women feeling some kind of way about Melanie in this episode, and that's because she went about this a little too much. She was too much trying to burn things down with Sincere, but you're bringing other people into it. Aniya, trying to be the logical good friend, was trying to calm Mel down and talk to her, which I didn't like because Melanie is not her friend. Melanie said she needed 10 minutes to calm down by herself, but it was a lot of drama to end the episode, and I did enjoy it. The girls are fighting. Let's keep it up, because I am tired of the fake girls situations after last season. A couple of other things to talk about, though. Bryce did not like that Trinity chose him as faking it for a promotion and slimed him. And then, he tried to prove himself with his turtle tongue in the challenge. But Trinity and Bryce sat down, had a conversation. He talked about how he felt bad about being slimed. It was really getting to him emotionally. And I think it was, because he's a Cancer. And Trinity said that she's just feeling like the other couples are more progressive. I'm assuming she's saying on a kissing level. I don't really know what Trinity was saying here. But Bryce said that they actually talk more than the other couples and they're building a foundation. She was just saying that she was feeling friend zoned. And I don't know. This is kind of what you get with an older guy. Because, yeah, if you're going for a real relationship, you need a foundation. And they actually do have some of the better talks that we've seen, like actually expressing their feelings in a healthy way and not, crashing out because of these feelings or, trying to manipulate people because of these feelings, like Bea. I really do think that Trinity and Bryce do have these normal conversations. But she is young, and I don't know if she can appreciate it, and I don't know if there is more than a spark of friendship for them, however. But I still do think that they have a chemistry. It just might be more of a goofy friendship chemistry. Also, we don't know what's going on with Casey and Aniya. They haven't had a real edit for the past 2 episodes straight, so they could also have more foundation too than we are seeing. The edit cannot be trusted with Casey and Aniya right now, and they better fix that in episode 5, or I'm going to have to start doing one of my favorite things, which is dragging a production of a show. I do love doing that. But on Sunday night, someone is going home. It should be a guy because there's more guys than girls. But on the app, they're asking who's going to go home, and they have everyone listed. So it could just be some sort of stupid elimination style like they love to do these days. If it is going to be a guy, the guys in trouble are Sincere, Sean, Bryce, and Zach. Because if Melanie's going to keep trying to get revenge on Sincere, does that mean she's not going to want to go back to Sincere? If the girls are doing some sort of choice, it's possible, because then Sincere is going to have to rely on Kayda choosing him if it's that kind of recoupling elimination, like it should be, but it probably won't be. But if it is, Sincere could be in trouble because of that. Although I have to think that Kayda can have more chemistry with Sincere than boring ass Zach, who actually wants Bryce. But I do think Sean could be in trouble too, although he has a lot of options, so he shouldn't go. Bryce could be in trouble if Trinity finds a spark with the new guy. If the elimination is a recoupling, and if the new guy has to pick someone and then the girls have to pick others, if that's the way they're going to do it, it's going to come down to who the new guy picks, honestly. But we'll see. Who knows what production's going to do. I just hope that they can give Casey and Aniya more of an edit.